expound on that a little bit, Ed. There was a period in actually American culture, and certainly in the African American culture, called the Harlem Renaissance. And this was about 10 years, the period of 1920 to 1930. It's a very important period in American history and also in African American history, because it was a time when blacks had immigrated to or migrated to the north, and especially in a community in New York called Harlem. And it was in Harlem at that time period when African American art really took its place in America. It was right after, you know, it's actually right around the time when American soldiers had gone to Europe, and African Americans had been part of that, and they were actually looked to, and African American art was something that was honored with jazz, and artists like Josephine Baker were, you know, revered amongst Europeans. So African Americans came back with the feeling that they should certainly have a place here in America too, and this is their country. And it flourished, art flourished at that time with people like W.E.B. Du Bois, Nora Hurston, Zeal Hurston, who was a famous artist, and there was a gentleman by the name of Alan Locke, who was a Harvard scholar, and he was a great speaker, and he really pushed the message that African Americans ought to celebrate their African heritage. And there was a term at the time which seems dated now, but it was called a New Negro. And the idea was that you should be proud of who you are, you should be proud of your heritage, and you should express it in your art. And certainly if you look at African American art, it expresses something that is unique to African American culture. Whether it is the preacher on Sunday and the way he preaches, it's certainly expressive of African Americans. Gospel is expressive of African Americans. Beautiful singing, and the way they wear your hair, your clothes, it's African American. It's art, and art is an expression of you, and it is a quality of expression. And the Harlem Renaissance was a period of high quality of American art, but it was a brief period. It was only about 10 years. And what happened was drugs came into the culture at that time, not just African American culture, but certainly all of America. And it affected the art. Certainly Billie Holiday at that time was ruined by drugs. And, you know, and since then, you've seen what has happened. Other things have come in that have cut across the culture, certainly all of American culture, but illiteracy, immorality, crime, and these things. Mr. Hubbard, founder of the religious philosophy of Scientology, certainly saw that this was happening in America and in New York. You know, he actually looked at what was happening in America, and he has founded, his philosophy has been extended to social betterment, where there is a certainly handles drug abuse, criminality, immorality, and literacy. And he has a technology that deals with all of that. And Ebony Awakening is bringing that technology to African Americans. And we want African Americans to know that this is something that is successful.
Right.
And they can use to raise the culture and to bring the art back up.
Back to where it was.
Back to where it was.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Pat, I could talk to you all day.
I could too.
We have to take a short break now for a public service announcement.
Yes.
And so we'll do that, and we'll come back and we'll actually show some clips from the event.
Great.
Great. You're going to want to see this event. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Trust.
Trust.
Trust. Förtroende.
Convoy. Trust.
Tentoy.
Datable.
Yakin.
Tiwala.
Sanyanay.
Viswase.
Confianza. Shinle. Eterno binlanga.
Fiducia.
Bizalon.
Tengkay.
Доверие. Trust.
On the day when we can fully trust each other, there will be peace on earth. A message brought to you by the Church of Scientology.
Welcome back. I'm sitting here with Pat Harney, Director of Public Affairs for the Church of Scientology of Clearwater, and we've been talking about a very special group of Scientologists that are doing something about the arts and the African American community and help making it better. And Pat, you brought with you a clip from the actual event that we were referring to prior to the break.
Yes.
Tell us what we're about to see.
You're about to see Reverend Alfredi Johnson, who is a pastor of the True Faith Christian Life Center in Compton, California, and also he's a Baptist minister, but he's also a Scientologist. And he's been using Mr. Hubbard's technology, and he's going to talk about art leading the way in a community.
Terrific. Okay, Ron, let's roll that clip.
It gives me great pleasure to address you tonight in what will go down in history as a great gathering and salute to artistic freedom fighters. I'm going to try to be brief, Dr. Kennedy, but I doubt it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, male and female, we're gathered together once again for the Ebony Awakening Community Service Awards. At this critical hour, in this hallowed place, to remember those of the past, to acknowledge and celebrate those in the present, and to inspire and offer effective solutions to those who will do good things in the future. And so as we remember, let us be taught and let us be reminded of how powerful an individual can be when he chooses to disagree with the injustices and the insanities of the world and decides to make pro-survival change in the world. America is under attack. The black community is under attack. The strands of viruses that plague our nation come in the form of a four-headed monster. Literally, North America and our community has become infected by an epidemic of criminality, drugs, drug abuse, illiteracy, and immorality with no cure in sight. Never in history have the African American faced such grave condition. And so we call on the artists to reverse this social decay of our people and our nation. Now, a very wise man by the name of L. Ron Hubbard once said, you know, there's two types of people in the world. Y'all all right? Bear with me. He said there are two types of people in the world. He said there are constructive people and there are destructive people. Constructive people and destructive people. And then he says this. He put this on at the end, Bishop McLaughlin. He says, and there are no shades of gray. And I researched it, and I looked into my mental mind, and I researched it, and I looked, and I found it to be true in my own experience. Today, I no longer look at race or religion or political party or even sexual gender. People are either constructive or they're destructive, no matter what background they have. What are you saying, Reverend Johnson? You know, people will either take nothing, hello somebody, and make it into something, or they'll take something and make it into nothing. Just two types of people. Y'all all right? The underlying source of conflict in human relations is and shall always be rooted in this magnificent data given to us by Mr. Hubbard, and it is that there are two types of people. The Africans were taken out of the old world order where there were basically two types of people. And they were brought into a new world order where there were also basically two types of people, which had two types of actions. They were destructive people and there were constructive people. Now, I believe that even today, the problems within this country stem from this very exact fact that too many destructive people, Dr. Kennedy, too many destructive people have gotten into control of the key positions of power. What do you say, Reverend Johnson? Amen. What does that have to do with art? Just hold your horses. I'll get to that in a minute. If this statement is true, and I believe it is true because I have observed it in my own life experience, I'm sure some of you have, then that would mean that it is true within any action or profession, and since art is both an action and a profession, which can result in the product and an effect, then that means that the datum or the information